Right now, all across the internet, people are claiming to make thousands of dollars every single month in passive income by running dropshipping stores online using artificial intelligence. The headlines and thumbnails are everywhere. Millions made with dropshipping, $100,000 in a single week, $1.7 million in total sales. It sounds incredible. It sounds almost too good to be true. And as someone who built my wealth the traditional way through years of real business experience and hard work, I have always been skeptical of these kinds of claims. So I decided to stop being skeptical from the sidelines and actually put this strategy to the test myself in the most honest and transparent way possible. I gave myself exactly 7 days to find out whether AI-powered dropshipping is a genuine money-making opportunity or just another overhyped internet trend that looks better in a YouTube thumbnail than it does in real life. Before we get into everything that happened during those 7 days, let me lay out exactly how this challenge worked so you understand what I was working with and what the rules were. First, I set a strict budget of $250, and the majority of that budget had to go directly toward running advertisements. That meant every single tool I used throughout the entire process had to be either completely free or as close to free as humanly possible. Second, artificial intelligence had to make every single business decision throughout the challenge. The niche, the branding, the products, the store design, the advertising content, all of it driven by AI with minimal interference from me. And third, I committed to showing you absolutely everything, every step of the process and every result, including the ones that did not go the way I hoped. No hiding the failures, no editing out the embarrassing moments. Complete transparency from start to finish. The very first thing on my checklist was finding a profitable niche, and this step is more important than most beginners realize. One of the biggest and most costly mistakes people make when they try to build an online business is trying to sell everything to everyone all at once, instead of focusing on one specific area and owning it completely. Even Amazon, one of the largest companies in the history of commerce, started its entire operation by selling just one thing: books. So finding the right niche before doing anything else was absolutely non-negotiable for this challenge. The method I use to do this is something I call the dummy scroll method, and it is one of the most practical and effective ways to discover what products people are actually spending real money on right now in the current market, rather than relying on outdated research or guesswork. The dummy scroll method works like this. You open Instagram on a completely fresh account that has no existing history or algorithm preferences built up, and you start scrolling through the Reels feed. Every time a dropshipping advertisement appears in your feed, you engage with it, you watch it, you like it, you click on it. You do this consistently for about an hour, and what happens is the algorithm starts showing you more and more dropshipping ads because it has identified you as someone who engages with that type of content. By the end of that scrolling session, you have effectively created a curated list of products that real businesses are currently spending advertising money to promote right now, which is one of the strongest possible signals that those products are actually selling. One product that caught my attention immediately was a dog paw cleaner that had an enormous amount of engagement and clearly resonated strongly with pet owners. After about an hour of scrolling, I had built up a substantial list of products that were clearly performing well in the market. Rather than spending my own time manually analyzing all of them, I fed the entire list straight into ChatGPT and asked it to recommend the best niche based on everything I had collected. The answer came back quickly and clearly: pets. And honestly, when I looked at the data I had gathered, it made complete sense. Pet products have enormous and passionate audiences. People genuinely love spending money on their animals, and there was strong evidence of real current demand across multiple product categories. So with the niche confirmed and ticked off the checklist, it was time to move on to what would have been the most technically challenging and expensive part of this whole process just a few years ago: building the actual store. And this is where things got genuinely impressive very quickly. Building a professional-looking Shopify store from scratch even just 2 or 3 years ago would have required thousands of dollars paid to web designers and developers, and would have taken days of painful trial and error before you had something that looked remotely presentable. Today, with AI tools, that process has been completely transformed. I headed over to a tool called Build Your Store, which I have used before, and which I genuinely believe is the most capable tool available right now for building a Shopify dropshipping store quickly and efficiently. The core concept behind dropshipping is beautifully simple. When a customer places an order in your store, the product gets shipped directly from the supplier to that customer without you ever needing to handle the inventory yourself. Your job is essentially to run the storefront and marketing, while the logistics side takes care of itself automatically in the background. Setting up the store through Build Your Store was genuinely straightforward. I entered my details, selected pets as the niche, and then moved on to choosing the store banners, which are important because they set the entire visual tone and first impression of the store from the moment a visitor arrives. Some of the banner options looked too busy or too generic, so I was selective about which ones I chose. I went with a clean and simple design featuring both dogs and cats, which was a deliberate decision because including both expands the potential audience significantly, rather than limiting the store to just dog owners or just cat owners. Once the banners were selected, I connected the store to Shopify by taking advantage of their trial offer, which gave me 3 days completely free, followed by just $1 per month for 3 months. An incredibly low barrier to entry for what you are actually getting in return. With the store infrastructure in place, the next critical step was finding the right products to actually sell. And I want to be very clear about why this step matters so much, because a lot of people rush through it without fully appreciating how much it affects everything that comes after. The right products are genuinely the difference between a store that generates consistent revenue and a store that sits completely ignored by everyone who stumbles across it. To handle this step, I registered for a tool called AutoDS, which uses artificial intelligence to identify products that are already proven to be selling well for other dropshippers in the market. Beyond just finding the products, AutoDS also takes care of the pricing, uploads professional product photos, and once sales start coming in, it handles shipping the orders directly to customers completely automatically. The system found 10 products immediately, including a cat tree, a dog drinking bowl, and that same dog paw cleaner I had spotted during my Instagram scrolling session. After reviewing the initial products that AutoDS had automatically added, I wanted to go deeper and find more winning products to give the store a comprehensive and well-stocked catalog. Inside AutoDS, there is a trending products section that uses AI to identify items that are currently selling well across other dropshipping stores in real time. I filtered specifically for pet products and started reviewing what was available. I was deliberately avoiding pet food because perishable products come with a whole category of potential problems that I did not want to deal with in a 7-day challenge. I found an interactive pet toy that had gone genuinely viral based on the sales chart data, with strong performance dating back several months and particularly impressive numbers more recently. I added it to my store along with several other promising products, and then used AutoDS's bulk AI rewrite feature to automatically optimize all the product titles and descriptions at once, rather than doing each one individually. The product titles and descriptions that come directly from suppliers are honestly not great. They are often poorly written, sometimes filled with irrelevant information, and occasionally contain things that make absolutely no sense in the context of your store. Like one title I found that had New Year 2026 in it, despite having nothing whatsoever to do with the new year. Before adding any products to the live store, these titles and descriptions needed to be rewritten to sound professional, clear, and compelling to potential customers. The AI optimization feature inside AutoDS handled all of this beautifully. It removed the irrelevant content, rewrote the titles to actually make sense and sound appealing, and generated clean professional product descriptions that I would have been happy to write myself if I had the time. Using the bulk rewrite option meant that 15 drafts were all optimized simultaneously, saving what would have been a significant amount of manual work. With the products sorted, it was time to tackle the branding, because here is something that is absolutely critical to understand about running any online store. Customers make a decision about whether to trust a store or leave it within approximately 3 seconds of arriving. 3 seconds. If your store looks unprofessional, generic, or untrustworthy in those first 3 seconds, most visitors will simply close the tab and never come back. So creating a brand that communicates credibility and professionalism instantly was not optional. It was essential. The first thing I needed was a domain name. Build Your Store offered a free .store domain, which works just like a traditional .com address, but signals to visitors immediately that they have landed on a shopping destination. Some of the biggest names in the world, including Mr. Beast and major airlines, use .store domains, which tells you something about how legitimate and established they have become. My first choice for the domain name was happypaws.store, but that name was already taken, which honestly just shows how competitive and active this space is right now. I jumped over to ChatGPT and asked it to generate alternative domain name ideas for a pet niche Shopify store in a similar style to what I had originally wanted. Several good options came back, and I landed on thrivingpaws.store, which I felt had a better and more memorable ring to it than some of the other suggestions. I registered the domain, connected it directly to the Shopify store, and then moved on to creating a logo. I asked ChatGPT to describe a detailed logo concept for Thriving Paws, and then took that description prompt over to an image generation tool called Nano Banana, which in my experience produces better results for logo-style images than most other AI image generators currently available. The result was clean, professional, and worked beautifully with the store banners I had already chosen. Once the logo was uploaded and the branding was in place, I wanted to take a proper look at the finished store before moving forward, and honestly, the result was more impressive than I had expected from an almost entirely automated build process. The store had a moving banner at the top promoting free shipping on orders over $50, a smart feature because it naturally encourages customers to add more items to their cart to qualify for the free shipping threshold rather than buying just one item. There were clear and prominent Shop Now buttons throughout the design that directed visitors straight to the product pages. The catalog was well stocked with products that all had professional photos and properly optimized titles. It genuinely looked like a legitimate and well-run pet product store. Before moving on to the next phase, I decided to order several of the products myself so I could physically test them before running any advertising and putting money behind promoting them to customers. About 3 days after placing the sample orders, the products arrived, and it was time to test them properly and honestly. The first product I opened was an interactive ball toy designed for dogs and possibly cats as well. The packaging looked reasonable, and it came with a charged lead and some string. But when I actually held the product and felt the quality, it was noticeably cheap and flimsy. I set it up and it did function, but it immediately went out of control in a way that felt more chaotic than entertaining. The verdict on that one was clear. I was not going to sell a product I could not stand behind with confidence. The second product I tested was the dog paw cleaner that I had originally spotted on Instagram during my research phase and had genuinely high hopes for. Those hopes were justified. The quality felt noticeably better. It came with clear instructions, including helpful diagrams. It had multiple speed settings, and it worked powerfully and quietly. This was going to be the hero product. The third product I tested was an AirTag dog collar, a collar designed with a built-in compartment specifically for holding an Apple AirTag tracker so that dog owners can monitor the location of their pet at all times through their phone. As a concept, I thought this was genuinely brilliant because it solves a real and emotionally significant problem for pet owners who have experienced the anxiety of a dog going missing. The physical product matched the concept well. It came with a small screwdriver to open the AirTag compartment. The compartment itself was waterproof, which is an important practical feature for dogs who swim or play in water, and the collar was available in multiple sizes and colors with easy adjustment and a secure clip. The quality felt solid and the overall presentation was good. I was genuinely happy with this one and confident it had real sales potential. With the product review complete, it was time to focus on the most critical phase of the entire challenge, creating the advertising. Without advertising, a store simply does not make sales. It does not matter how good the products are, how professional the branding looks, or how well the store is designed. If nobody knows it exists, then nobody is buying anything. I had three options for generating advertising content. The first option was creating my own organic social media content and posting it without paid promotion. This approach works well over time, and many successful dropshippers build their entire business this way without ever spending on ads. However, building organic traction typically takes several weeks at minimum before content starts gaining the kind of momentum that drives meaningful traffic, and with only 7 days available, this simply was not a realistic path for this particular challenge. The second option was paying an influencer to create content featuring the products, which I had done in a previous challenge. But I understood that not everyone has easy access to influencer connections, so I ruled that out as well. That left paid advertising as the only viable option given my time constraints, which meant I needed to create compelling ad content quickly and within my very limited budget. The type of content that consistently performs well in paid social media advertising is something called UGC, user-generated content. These are videos that look and feel like they were filmed casually by a real customer sharing a genuine experience with a product rather than a polished professional production. The reason UGC performs so well is that it feels authentic and relatable in a way that traditional advertising simply does not. And audiences respond to that authenticity by engaging more and converting at higher rates. To create UGC content using AI, I used a tool called Create UGC, which generates AI avatar videos of realistic-looking people interacting with and talking about products. Before this kind of tool existed, you would have needed to pay multiple content creators to produce different ad variations, which could become very expensive very quickly. I started by creating ads for the AirTag dog collar because I felt it had a strong and emotionally compelling story to tell. I copied the product page link from my store, pasted it into Create UGC, and selected an avatar that looked like someone who genuinely could be a pet owner, someone who would stop a viewer from scrolling past the ad. The tool automatically generated 3 different script options, but none of them had correctly identified the main selling point of the collar, which was the built-in AirTag holder. They were too focused on the waterproof feature, which is a secondary benefit rather than the primary one. So I adjusted the script to focus on the core value proposition. No more worrying about where your dog is, because this collar holds an AirTag that lets you track him at all times. After several rounds of generation and refinement, I ended up with ad variations I was genuinely satisfied with. I then set up 2 meta ads with a $20 daily budget and waited to see what would happen. The final day of the 7-day challenge arrived, and it was time to look at the actual sales numbers and calculate whether the challenge had been a success or a failure. The results were a genuine mix of both. The AirTag dog collar ads did not perform well at all. Not a single collar was sold throughout the entire campaign period. I made the decision to turn those ads off completely rather than continue spending money on something that clearly was not working. The dog paw cleaner, on the other hand, performed considerably better. Over the course of the challenge, 17 paw cleaners were sold. There was also one unexpected additional sale: a pet magic broom purchased by the same customer who had already bought a paw cleaner, which was actually a really encouraging sign because it demonstrated that the store itself was trustworthy and appealing enough that a customer who came in for one specific product decided to browse and buy something else as well. Total revenue across all sales came to $402.41. Now let us look at the actual profit numbers, honestly, because revenue and profit are very different things, and it is the profit that actually matters. The 17 paw cleaners cost $16.77 each to source and ship, and the broom cost $18.92. Total product and shipping costs came to $169.85. On top of that, I spent approximately $150 on meta advertising over the 3 days the ads were running, plus $1 for Shopify after the free trial period ended. Adding all of those costs together gives a total expenditure of $320.85 against revenue of $402.41, leaving a profit of $81.56. So technically, I failed the challenge. I did not hit the $1,000 target. But here is what genuinely surprised me. In 7 days, using almost entirely free AI tools, with minimal experience in this specific business model, this store generated real revenue and real profit almost from nothing. A deal is a deal, though, so I am giving $1,000 of my own money away to 3 people in the comments. Tell me what store you would start if you were doing this challenge, and I will split the money between the 3 best answers.